Hello, my beautiful people out there, and welcome to another fantastic episode of Modded Minecraft Season 2. I am your host, JJ, and today we are going to be doing some great things with concrete. Yeah, I had this really weird kind of dream or something about concrete, and I know you guys know I like to build. I've started building now. I built that big greenhouse, which you can see in the last or a couple episodes ago, whenever that was. Time just it just goes in a weird way. I don't know. I don't remember. Was that one episode ago or two episodes ago? I can't even talk today. But I've also been kind of busy. I did another thing right up there. And yeah, I really want to show that to you guys. So why don't we start this episode off by rolling a time lapse? Here goes. And here it is, that gorgeous sort of platformy area that I constructed. And just after I recorded that clip, I added this little contraption over here, which is just another crafting grid. It's temporary, it's going to go, but it's there. Because today, I want to work on some concrete stuff. I had this weird idea, so let me show you what I'm thinking here. If I grab myself out some water, I'm going to need a water bucket. I'm also going to need some concrete powder. So let me just grab some like red concrete powder. And I'm going to come over here. I built these troughs. Troughs. And there are 16 of them. One for each of the colors of concrete. And I probably should have grabbed myself some building material. Oh, I did. I grabbed myself some stone. I'm just going to put that down right there, and I'm going to drop this bucket of water right in there. And you shall see that this bucket of water runs 8 spaces and stops right here. And if I were to take some red concrete powder, and you can see this stuff looks like this, but if I were to drop it right into that spot there, it instantly turns into concrete. So if I had a way to automatically drop concrete powder right there on that spot and then pick it up as soon as it becomes concrete, I would have myself a little concrete factory. So that's what I'm going to try to accomplish today. And I'm going to do that with some constructors, which are these guys right here, and some destructors, which are these guys right here. So we've used destructors in the past. Destructors, where did we use them? We used them on top of our sugarcane. So if you remember, they will break whatever block is right in front of them. So when the sugarcane grows up to exactly the height, kind of hard to tell from this angle. Let me get down there, give you a better look at the sugarcane. There it is. You could actually see it happen right there. The sugarcane is kind of stuck at this sort of 2 height right now, because it is in the process of growing. And when it grows, like that, it comes up to the level of the destructors, and then it's automatically broken. And it's not just broken, it doesn't just fall on the ground. It actually gets imported automatically into my refined storage system. So that's what I'm hoping to do with concrete. I want to do the exact same thing. So let's get back up there and try this out. I'm going to use something else too, and I believe it's called a detector. So I got a bunch of these things standing by, and I'm going to grab some cable because I know I'm going to have to hook this thing up. I'm going to make a huge mess of this to start with, but it will get better. I guarantee it. So to start with, I'm just going to put the destructor right here on the back. So by default, anything that's connected to the destructor will just be destroyed. So let me just make some room here. I'll open that one up here. And let's connect this to our refined storage system with some cable. And again, I'm just making a horrible mess here. I'm going to hide all this cable later, but for now, there it is. And you can see, as soon as I connected that last cable, it just popped. So anything I put down here will just pop. Now what's interesting here is that if I add some speed upgrades to this thing, which I can do, like this speed, I've got a bunch of these speed upgrades. So let me add one of these speed upgrades. You can make these things go really fast. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I add the red concrete powder right there, boom. Now what's interesting about this is it's happening so fast that I'm not really sure whether it's actually turning to concrete or if the concrete powder itself is being destroyed and taken into the refined storage system. So you can actually put a filter on this. So if I grab some actual red concrete here, and then I come back over here and I say, put the filter for just red concrete. And I need to put this into whitelist mode so that it only accepts red concrete in. I also need to, I want to block off this water just for a second here. So if I block the water off, now you can see if I put red concrete powder down, it doesn't get destroyed by the destructor. But if I break that and I allow the concrete to flow in, then yeah, as soon as it becomes concrete in this spot, it gets broken. So I need to disconnect this temporarily because there's a few other pieces that I want to add here. And this is interesting. So let's drop that down. Now I can add the constructor in here. So the constructor goes on top like this. And if I were to connect this guy with a cable, for instance, and then the constructor, you need to put something in there. So I'm going to tell it to put red concrete in there. And if I connect this again, there it is. You can see, just like that, I've already got the process going that I want. So it's placing red concrete, and instantaneously it's breaking the red concrete. And in fact, I can add speed upgrades to this guy too. But now you can see how fast this process is actually going. However, I don't want to make all of my red concrete powder into concrete. Well, that's too late. I just did. I tore through it. I actually want it to be able to make concrete on demand. And so I'm going to do a few things. The first thing I'm going to do is create a recipe for concrete powder. So I've actually already got a recipe for red concrete powder in my system right now. I don't have any red concrete powder in my system, but it knows how to make it. So if I wanted to, I could tell it like, okay, craft 10 red concrete powder. And as soon as I craft that powder, the red concrete powder automatically gets converted into concrete because it's going through this whole machine over here. That's good. That's exactly what I want to happen. But I want to put a little bit more logic in here. So I'm going to break this right here. And I'm going to add one of these detectors in right here. And the detector will allow me to sense a certain level of things. Like, for example, I'm going to put a piece of red concrete in there, and I'm going to tell it to look and see if I have less than, let's just say, 500 pieces of concrete. If I have less than 500 pieces of concrete in my system, it's now going to emit a redstone signal, which is pretty neat because I can now use my constructor and tell it to only work when there's a redstone signal. So, in theory, if it's all connected properly, my detector will detect that I have less than 500, or what did I say, 100? 500 pieces of red concrete in my system. I'm going to make that 100 because I don't want this to take all day. Detect if I have less than 100 pieces of concrete. Actually, it looks like I already do have less than 100, so let's go 200. Is that right? Nah, I'll just have to take a few out. Let's do that. Concrete. How many do I have in there? I have 346. So if I take out, there, I just took out a bunch of red concrete, and you can see now that it's looking for 200 pieces, and because I have less than 200 pieces, it's emitting a redstone signal, and the redstone signal is ready to send concrete powder into the system. I don't have any concrete powder in my system. I only have red concrete. So if I drop the red concrete powder in there, it will actually start making it into concrete, which is fantastic. And it's all the while updating the level. And let's see what happened here. Concrete. Okay, so I have 134 pieces of concrete in there. Let me add a few more here. So I now have 262 pieces of concrete in there. But if I craft a bunch of concrete powder now, you can see I'm over the level of 200. So I don't actually craft any more. Or I don't need to build anymore. If I up this to 300, for instance. 300. Now you can see it's back on, and it's building concrete. And when it gets up to a level of 300, it should turn off. So now I should have, if all goes according to plan, exactly 300 red concrete in my system. Concrete, and there it is, exactly 300 red concrete. So far, so good. That's phase 2. So in order to step this up one more time to phase 3, we need to do one more important thing because of this. Now let's just see how much concrete powder we have left. I have 282 red concrete powder in the system. So obviously 430 plus 282, that's going to be somewhere in the 700 range. So I'm going to up this to about 800. Okay, and that should actually churn through the rest of my concrete powder. And there we go. It has finally finished doing all of my concrete. Now, we can check our refined storage system and see that we now have 712 pieces of red concrete in the system, which is fantastic. But we wanted 800. That's why we set this level to 800. So how do we get more? Well, the neat thing is we can add a crafting upgrade to this system here. And if we add a crafting upgrade, what that allows it to do is craft concrete powder automatically in order to fulfill the requirement of getting this whole system going. So I'm going to replace one of these guys with a crafting upgrade. And now you can see it is actually crafting concrete powder. The speed has gone down a little bit. Maybe if I put it in the bottom slot, that'll be better. It might even be better if I put this in, let's see, I'll try it a different place. Maybe if I put it in here. Oops. Does it? No, it doesn't work in there. So it'll actually only work in this one. So we have reduced our speed significantly. I wonder if I can up my speed with a stack upgrade. So let's try that. Come over here and get rid of one of those and put one of these in. Maybe a couple of these. Okay, well, it's hard to tell what's going on anyway, but it looks like it's finished building all of my concrete. So let's see where we are at here. Concrete. There we go. We've got exactly 800 concrete. So the beautiful thing is, all I have to do now is set that number to whatever amount of concrete I want to have on hand at any time, and it will automatically fill up my reserves of concrete. So let's say I wanted to make this 1,000. 1,000. There we go. So I might have to figure out a better way to do this down the road, because obviously as soon as I add that crafting card in there, it's broken everything. It's now slowed everything right down to a crawl, and that's no good, right? I had a little bit of a think about this, and I think my chest solution might actually work. Pay no attention to how horrible this looks. I'm going to fix this. Trust me, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to make this look all pretty, but I want to give you a rundown of what is going to happen, or at least what I hope is going to happen. So I have a chest here. The chest is currently empty. Attached to that, I have an external storage from Refined Storage. So the external storage basically makes the chest act like a regular storage device, like a hard drive for storing items in. So if I were to put something, take something out of my inventory and drop it into the Refined Storage system, it's going to look for a place to store that item, and one of those places might be that chest. However, you can set a whitelist. So that's what I've done, whitelist, and I've whitelisted red concrete powder. So now, if I put something into my system, in fact, what if I change the priority up? Let's change the priority to like 10 on this. So if I take some red concrete powder, which I have in my inventory, and I say take 32 of them, and well, actually, let's first of all see if there is any in the inventory. So right now there is no concrete powder in the inventory, but if I take 32 and I drop it in, you'll see there I have 32. And in fact, it's kind of doing this weird like flickery loop right now, and I'll show you why that's actually happening. Over here, I have my external storage set to export this red concrete powder, and the red concrete powder, here it is, right here. So it's being read into the system as actually belonging to this chest. I'm furthermore going to use this exporter up here to export red concrete powder. And if I were to basically add some speed upgrades, so I'm going to add a bunch of speed upgrades here. Actually, 4 of those. I'm going to take one out, actually, and put a stack upgrade in there. We should see that I can actually add stuff, and bam, it gets sent over to this thing super, super fast. So there's no doubt about it, even though I probably only need it with this storage and the priority. In fact, yeah, I could probably do away with the exporter now that I think about it. But, oh, no, I can't. The reason I can't is because the exporter has the ability to add the crafting card to it. And that's where things go crazy. So let me take away one of these speed upgrades, add the crafting upgrade, and now we should see, hopefully, maybe not. So I have a crafting upgrade in there. It knows I want red concrete powder. It knows how to make red concrete powder. Why isn't it filling my chest with red concrete powder? That's a really weird question. Concrete powder. Oh, see, that's weird. It's trying to craft concrete powder, but it's already got concrete powder. Maybe I need 2 chests. Oh, I might need more of a think here. Alright, guys. I think I have finally figured this out. Again, pay no attention to the crappy wiring and everything. I'm going to hide all this stuff. It's going to be great. I put this storage monitor here basically just so I could see exactly how much concrete I have in the system at the moment. Exactly 500 pieces. So let me talk you through this real quick. I have an exporter. Maximum speeds here. I've got stack upgrade, 2 speed upgrades, and a crafting upgrade. So it's going to craft concrete powder, and always, regardless of what else is going on, it's going to be crafting concrete powder and jamming it into this chest, which it's going to fill up to the best of its ability, unless there's, like a half stack or something in this first slot. But it doesn't really matter. The rest of the chest is completely full of concrete powder. From there, we have an importer. And the importer has a bunch of speed upgrades as well, but it's set to only work with redstone signal. And I'm taking the output from the same level detector and feeding it to this importer as I am to the constructor, which actually places the concrete powder. So the idea is, if I am going to set this level higher, so I'm going to set it to say 600. Let's do that right now. 600. Okay. We've got maximum speed upgrades in the constructor here. So it's sending a signal here. This chest is starting to drain because it's being imported. That's what's being allowed by this redstone signal. It's feeding into this actually goes directly into the refined storage system. So feeding concrete powder into the system. This is using that powder, spitting it out, and then converting it into concrete. And then when I get enough powder, hit my level meter turns off, this turns off, so I stop importing. This chest fills back up with red concrete powder because, again, not only am I exporting, but I'm crafting on the fly. So I'm going to build enough concrete powder to fill this chest. And I hit almost exactly the number that I want. So in this case, it went 1 over. But if I just right-click on this, I should remove about a half a stack. Nope. Okay, I guess if I click, left-click, I take out a full stack. But you can see, so it pulled out 64 concrete, and now I am filling back up to 600. It's going pretty fast, and there it is. So that is working pretty much flawlessly. And just to check on our concrete in our system here, you can see I do have a little bit of extra concrete powder that's being built up in the system, but it's only because it crafted this when it wasn't required. But it's just going to keep pumping this back through. So I should only end up with, probably less than 100 concrete powder in the system at any one time, but a perfect amount of concrete, or plus or minus 1. So that's cool. Now that I've got this design kind of laid out here, I'm going to go ahead and build the rest of them, and I will be right back. And there it is, guys. Rolling like crazy. Manufacturing massive amounts of concrete. And I'm just going to back away because that's actually super loud. But you can see I have all 16 colors of concrete all being manufactured, which is pretty cool. And I've made it look kind of pretty as well. You can't actually see the concrete being manufactured anymore. It's kind of hidden back behind there. You just kind of have to believe it's happening based on the amount of concrete that you have basically being increased in your system. But there's one other thing that I wanted to show you, one other trick up my sleeve, and that involves these guys right here. So I just wanted to show you something here. I'm just going to grab one of these shulker boxes, like the orange one, to show you. This is an empty shulker box, but if I take this shulker box and I drop it right here on this exporter, boom, it's going to fill right up. And of course, it drained this completely. I've got all these guys set to 1800 because it's approximately 1728, I think the number is, pieces of concrete which would fill up each of the shulker boxes. So actually, I've added a nice convenient little switch over here so I can actually turn this off. There, now it won't make any more noise. But I can go along and place all of these shulker boxes on the exporters, just like this. The colored ones, they're all color-coded, so you can see exactly what colors you are adding. Got dark gray, light gray, and finally white. And all of these shulker boxes, because they're sitting on top of exporters, they will have concrete basically being pumped into them until they are full. And then the machines will fill right back up again to 1800, ready for another shulker box. So if I decide, you know what, I'm going to do a project in red today, just come along, grab my red box, take it out, plunk it down somewhere, and I've got a full shulker box of red concrete. So guys, that is going to do it for today's episode. Bit of a longer one, but kind of created a cool machine, or a cool set of machines. We solved some problems along the way, and yeah, I learned some things today, and I hope you learned some things today. I can't even talk today. That's one thing I can't do today, is talk, but that's okay, because I will be able to talk soon enough, and I will see you soon. If you guys enjoyed this episode and you want to see more like it, feel free to click that subscribe button. You can also like this video. That'll help me out a lot. Love you guys very much for doing that. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.